guys, and welcome to day 19, I'm pretty sure, of 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, where I spend 30 minutes every day for 100 consecutive days working on my upcoming comic Monkey Junk. For those of you who've seen the 100 Days before, you already know what this is about, but for those newcomers, Monkey Junk is a story about a young kid who gets dragged into a weird dimension with a crazy girl who thinks he is from her dimension, and crazy things ensue, and that's probably not the best description, although I think I might spend some time going through and actually talking about what the book's about maybe tomorrow or something. I was thinking about it and I tried to explain it and I failed completely, probably because I just put myself on the spot. It's been a long time since I've gone with the elevator pitch for Monkey Junk, and we do have one, but man, it has been a while. So anyway, yesterday was a hectic day. Work was generally good. Got towards the end of the day and I've been given a ton of work which I have to do over the weekend, which is not ideal, but it happens from time to time. So I'm going to be squeezing that in this weekend on top of everything else. So it looks like I'll probably miss out on a couple of things. Hopefully not, but we'll just sort of see how the day goes. Either that or just a few late nights. Otherwise, once I got home last night, we had real estate come in as I think I've mentioned this before, the landlord is selling our house. So they've gone with a new real estate company and they had to come over and photograph the house. So Jazz, as awesome she is, completely just gave the house a whole deep clean. So by the time I came home, the house was absolutely immaculate. So we had to do that, and then we had someone came around, then we had dinner, then they came around with a photographer after that, and it was just like the whole night. So I think we got probably finished up by maybe 8:30, quarter to 9, then tried to get April to bed, and it seems like she might be pushing another tooth through, so she just did not want to sleep in her bed at all, so she ended up on the couch with us until we went to bed, and then she was in our bed for the entire night, and yeah, it wasn't a fun night. So because of the fact that she was on our couch, and this is sort of those implications coming with having a child and not being able to do some of the work that I want to do, I wanted to get into my sketchbook and do more background work and more study like I was doing the night before, but because we're in the lounge room, we had the lights off so she could sleep better. The easiest alternative for me was to get the iPad out and do some drawing in there. So I spent maybe 40 minutes working on one of the pages. Having done that little bit of background study, I was keen to go back to one of the pages where Geordie hears the bus in the background, and I wanted to change that background. So what I did is I went to the next page where that background was a little bit more prominent, set that up, and then went backwards and then set a looser scene of that background on that panel, so you get more of a feeling that he's in a bit of a town, and I think it sets the scene better for what I had in mind anyway. So I did that, and then I did a bit of tighter pencils on page 4 as well. So pretty confident once I'm ready to start into next week, I should be able to print those pages out and start penciling and inking them. I'm thinking that I'm going to print out on A3, hit the light box, pencil those pages onto a new A3 page, like a nicer paper, and then possibly ink directly over. I don't know whether I want to keep the pencils and ink separate or not. That's a decision I have to make this weekend. I have to. It's more about storage than anything. Do I want to be carting around all of these pages, as it's going to go on and on and on, whereas I'm happy to just have the pencils under the inks, and then I can just erase them when it comes to scanning, etc. So yeah, that was a good productive evening. This morning I woke up super early, I think at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I got straight into my little studio, even though it's sort of half set up, and got started on doing more of the children's book and trying to get further ahead on that. So I'm going to be juggling a lot of stuff this weekend. It's going to be really, really hectic. As for now though, I'm actually on my way to Lee's to discuss things about Monkey Junk. So we're going to go through all the sketches I've done, some ideas that he's had, sort of where he wants to take the story, etc., etc. So we're going to talk about that, and then once that's over, I will come back to you guys and let you know how it all went, and maybe film some footage. We'll see. My camera's on its side. What's up, guys? Welcome to, I think it's day 20, next day after what I just said it was in the last entry. It is still the weekend for me, so today is Sunday, so I'm updating for yesterday. Still yet to do anything today for Monkey Junk, so I'm just going to talk about some things that I was doing yesterday. First, I'm going to show you what I did after my 30 minutes for Monkey Junk, and then I'm going to come back and just talk to you about a few other things. Okay, so flicking through. Yesterday did not feel super productive. I did a bit of research. By research, I'm saying I read a couple of comics. Finally got around to really digging into wonton soup, and found a bit of inspiration there, just studying like how they draw smoke and things for different scenarios. And then I did, hopefully you can see this, the lights, that's a bit better, hopefully that's focused all right. Hopefully, hang on. Oh, not having much luck here. Yeah, okay, so talking about drawing environments and such, yeah, I'm definitely struggling with this concept of what to draw. I think because at the moment I don't have any designated places that I want to draw for the comic, at least in my mind. So when it comes around to it in the comic, it's probably a bit easier for me to draw it, but in the sense of now just trying to think of like, oh, I'm going to draw in the environment, or just trying to draw what places look like. So one of the things I thought of was, why don't I try and draw what the door dimension would look like? I've drawn it before, and like the idea is going to stay pretty consistent. Just sort of want to redraw it and get some ideas. And what I did draw back for the last round that I did, was only really one small section of, this giant planet, which is a door dimension. So essentially the idea of the door dimension is anyone can travel through them with the proper permissions. Once they get onto it, the door dimension's like essentially this giant planet that you can traverse around, and it is just filled to the brim with doors. And there's like going to be small cities within there, so you can get food and stuff while you're traveling to a door, or transportation and such. So there's almost like a small civilization on the door dimension, but for the most part, the whole point of the planet is just to travel from door to door to get to different planets, in different universes, etc. So I came up with a couple of ideas. This was sort of based on nothing really, just sort of drawing an idea, so you've got the door as the front shot, and then a few more doors until it sort of pans out into a silhouette of a little city in the background. And this is a similar idea with the city on like a floating island, just sort of being attached to a city in the background there, and there's like sort of just a bit of perspective, to add some perspective to it. There's the two characters, Abby and Geordie, standing there, so you get a bit of an idea. I was looking online for some reference while I was doing this, so I did a little bit more. Not a whole lot that I was happy with. That was sort of an elaboration more on this one. So imagining that was a little bit closer up, what would that look like? And that was the team of three, Chris, Abby and Geordie, sort of walking up this giant stairwell that sort of floats. You can see like this crater where this city used to sit. And then I was just trying a few more things, coming up with some ideas, and just copying ideas from online and comics and things like that. Just trying to get an understanding of what I want this book to look like. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really solid here, nothing really fleshed out. This was really just me spending half an hour coming up with ideas, because that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, and that was it. That's pretty much all I did last night. Super exciting, but I did do my 30 minutes, so that's definitely what counts in this situation. I'm just glad I at least got the 30 minutes done, because by the time I got to that, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I almost didn't make the 30 minutes, so I made sure that I definitely did. And I'm glad that I did, even though I'm not really particularly happy with sort of the end result. Other than that, I did talk yesterday about I was going to a meeting with Piper. So we'll just really catch up for coffee, talking about things. He's getting ready for his wedding in a month's time. Been working, he's starting a new job. So I was really just talking about, sort of his future and, catching up in general. But then we did eventually get into talking about Monkey Junk and talked about his ideas. Hang on a second, my camera needs to be cleared out of videos again. Sorry about that, I really need to clean my phone out because these videos are chewing up memory and I keep forgetting to delete them as I'm working on them, and yeah, by a few days in, my phone just decides to crap out and so there's no more space left. So there we go. I've cleared some space so I can finish today's entry at least. Yeah, so we just caught up and talked about Monkey Junk, talked about future storylines, just sort of confirming the ending of chapter 1. We both had a couple of ideas. There was the original idea from the first script that I wrote, which we've just elaborated on, and more to the point of how they're going to get to chapter 2, because that was a big question that he had on his mind, and changing a few of the characters as well. There was a couple of characters that he felt needed a bit of changing further into the comic, and we did get ahead of ourselves a little bit talking about further storylines, but trying to just keep him within the first chapter. Now that he's back into writing mode a little bit, he can hopefully churn out a few more pages so we can really up the ante on these. On top of that, I spent a fair chunk of time yesterday and today working on the children's book. So yesterday morning I got up early. Again, I got up early today. Spent a real good chunk of time this morning, even some afternoon time yesterday, working on that. So I'm now 4 pages complete of 8 pages, or 7.5, because one of them is quite a simplistic page. So 7.5 pages. Got approval from the client to work on the last 4 pages and get those finished. So what I'm thinking, I was talking to Lee about this today, I strongly believe that within a week's time I can finish that. So my goal now is to put Kill the Hero aside and work on this children's book 100%, including minus the 30 minutes. That way then it's just out of the way. It's one project I don't have to worry about. Then Monkey Junk and Kill the Hero become the main projects, and I'm sort of in the clear to really just work on what I want to, rather than knowing that I've got to bounce back to that because it's a client job and they're relying on me to do it. So by really jumping the gun and getting ahead a lot will be an advantage anyway. So it's worthwhile taking another week off Kill the Hero just to make sure that gets completed. So that's my plan. The last thing I'll want to mention, I'll probably talk a bit more about this in another entry, but one thing I haven't had properly for a while is a decent website. So I spent a fair chunk of time last night, maybe an hour or two, tinkering around, trying to find a good place to host my website. I've already got a domain name, but I don't have proper hosting, and I was trying to find a place where to do that. I don't really want to spend a lot of time building my website. I know there's obviously time I need to invest into it, but overall, I don't want to build it from scratch. I've looked at sites like Wix and Squarespace look quite easy. The downside with those is, I wanted to connect my store envy to it. I suppose it's still a possibility to do that, but most of these come with built-in stores, so it almost seems stupid to not have a store when I've got a store, to not use their store instead of my store envy. Either way, that's sort of a silly, problem to have. But anyway, I decided to go into Tumblr and set up a Tumblr page, and that's going to be turned into my website. So hopefully in the next few days, you'll be able to go to chrismcquinlan.com and check that out, and that'll be filled with my portfolio. You'll be able to find everything, pretty much all the information you'll need. You'll be able to find there. Links to my Store Envy store, so once that website launches, my Store Envy will launch along with that as well. So I'll keep you guys noted when that's all happening anyway. Otherwise, there's not really a lot to report. I'm going to go relax, work on my 30 minutes, and then I'm probably just going to work on the website for tonight and just get that ready to launch. And if I manage some time, I'm going to squeeze in some ink in for the children's book. So it should be a good night. hopefully. Otherwise, I'll catch you all tomorrow, and I'll update you on how the night went. I hope you guys are having a good one. Morning, guys. So I'm on my way to work. It's Monday now, and the daily grind is back. Yeah, really not keen. Today I've got to put together a big presentation for a client, and pretty much is going to chew up my entire day. So I don't mind doing presentations and things, but when you're doing the same project all day, it can get a bit boring, and I like those days where all my jobs are just sort of mixed up and all over the place. But that's just part of the job. So yeah, just got to keep on keeping on. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with comics. So last night, as I said, I was going to do some work on a few things last night and just try and be as productive as possible. I did not touch the children's book last night. The intention was there, but I didn't. Instead, I worked on the website for a fair chunk. I was looking at what I had already set up, and I wasn't happy at all with the theme that I was using. So if anyone who's used Tumblr before, you can set themes, which are essentially customized CSS style sheets that you can download and put onto your Tumblr theme just to make it look fancier, and then within that you can change pretty much a whole slew of things. So I pretty much scoured the internet. The theme search option within Tumblr is pretty bad, so I spent a bit of time googling, trying to find some good ones. I finally found a really good one. There were some amazing ones that I found which were you had to pay for. Now, as much as I'd like to do that and support the programmers who created those themes, money's a bit tight at the moment, which is pretty much the entire point behind me using Tumblr as a website and opening the shop, so I can save money and hopefully earn some passive income. So I'm trying to find shortcuts to make the financial strain a little bit less while still boosting my online presence. So anyway, I found everything I really liked. I downloaded that. So I'm still setting that up, but you guys can check that out now if you want. It's chrismcquinlanart.tumblr.com for the moment. I still haven't connected the domain to it yet, mainly because I don't have the details to get to my domain name. It's tied in with someone else's domains, so I just need to get in touch with them, get the details, and give them my details, and then they'll just connect it for me. So that's just one little step that I need to take. But for now, you can just use the Tumblr website. And I'm pretty sure once I set up the domain name, you can use both either way, so it doesn't really matter. And if you're a Tumblr user, you can follow the page too. So there's that. If you don't want to miss out on any updates. So I've done that. I've still got to flesh it out, add pages. The downside with Tumblr is, and this is algorithm that they've set in place on the website to prevent spamming and phishing accounts and all that sort of stuff. One of the great features that I love about Tumblr is that you can add pages into your blog, so you don't just have, sorry, I'm just in traffic a bit here, see if I can get through, there we go. Yeah, so you can add pages just like you would like a WordPress site or something like that. Within that, you can then you have options, so you can do standard layout, which is based on the same layout as what your current website is, or your current Tumblr pages, so the grid style layout. You can do custom, so it'll pretty much just clean the slate, and then you can just program whatever you want into there, or code whatever you want into there. And then the last one is a redirect. So for when it comes to the shop links and everything like that, when you hit to go on the shop page, it'll automatically redirect you to the Store Envy store. The downside is, with their algorithm, the redirect option isn't immediately available. They pretty much rely on you having a Tumblr for a small period of time. You have to follow people, interact with posts and things like that. So my complete idea with the Tumblr was that I could just use it as a blog, and nothing else. Unfortunately, that's not going to work out. I still have to do the following stuff. I suppose once it's all set up and it unlocks, then I can just unfollow people and whatnot. But I did go online and find a few friends' blogs that so makes up for it, I suppose. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for a few of that thing to unlock so I can really set up the page how I want it. Otherwise, just realised that my side mirror has been knocked. I think Jazz knocked it when we were in the garage the other day. Doesn't matter. All right. So yeah, so I'm still working on the website, but yeah, if you want to check it out, if you've got any ideas and whatnot, because I don't have all of my images on the laptop, I have to get them off the hard drive. Some of the images on there are a bit so yeah, still working on it. So it's sort of a soft release, I suppose, but yeah, whatever. Otherwise, I got into doing some monkey junk stuff. I realized I didn't check to see what paper I actually have at home to work on the comic book, which is a silly thing because I want to get into inking this week, so I want to be able to pencil it, ink it, and then start scanning the pages. I've been toying with the idea of working in A3, which I can then scale down to A4 or just smaller than A4 for when we go to print. There's two problems with that, which are solvable. They're not big issues. One is I don't have an A3 scanner anymore. I got rid of it. No, that's the other problem. I don't have an A3 scanner. So I can't scan. Okay, yeah, the two problems. So I can't scan them. You know what? I just had like that brain fart moment where I realized that one of the problems isn't actually a problem. Because I was going to say I can't scan the pencils to then do the inks, but I'm going to ink over the pencils anyway. So there's only one problem. I can't scan the inks once the comic's finished to tidy it up and then release it online. So that's a small issue. The other thing is I don't have A3 paper at home. I do, however, back when I was working in the art shop, we used to sell what was comic artboard, which was released by Canson, and they pretty much dropped the entire line of the artboard. So when that happened and we stopped stocking it, we sold it off for like 70% off or something, just to get rid of it. So I took pretty much the majority of it because I was working there and I knew I was going to use it eventually. So I'm going to make good on my word for 5 years ago and actually use that paper. So the downside with that again is it's 11 by 17 paper because it's American size comic sheets. That's fine because I can probably work a little bit smaller than A3 and still be happy with it. So I rummaged through, found the paper. I've got tons of it. I've probably got 5 pads of the stuff. So that's like 100 sheets of this comic paper to use. So that's fantastic. I've got heaps of paper. It's not the right size, so now I've just got to make sure that when I print out the pages, I print them out slightly smaller than A3 to make sure that they fit. So I'm probably just going to print out the page on A3 to fit 11 by 17, put them on the light box, re-pencil the page onto the nice paper, and then ink there. So I think I'm going to find that eventually my layouts are going to become quicker and quicker, and they're not going to be as detailed as what I've been showing you, what I've been doing on the iPad. Yeah. So fun and games. There's two reasons I want to do this. One, I love inking traditionally. It's far better and more fun than working digitally. It definitely is a slower process for me, but I enjoy it far more, especially the end result once you got that finished page in front of you. Two, because I can film it. I can start filming again. I can start putting some of that footage into the vlogs, or I can use them for Patreon, etc., etc. I miss being able to film myself drawing, and I had the perfect setup when I was had the art table set up. So I'm gonna bring that back. All right, I've talked for way longer than I thought I was going to talk about. I pretty much just wanted to tell you guys that I used the paper. Oh yeah, so I took some of the paper and I did a sketch just to test the integrity of working with pencil and ink on it, to see the smudge, etc, etc. I'm really happy with how the paper handles the tools, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and use it. Here's a quick picture actually of what I drew. It's just a random thing, the proportions are out of whack, but it was fun. I might try and finish it in the next couple of days, and if anyone's interested, I'll probably sell it. Otherwise, it's just a fun mess around piece for me, just to test the paper, and actually tried sketching out a couple of the new characters, the guys at the bottom. So yeah, all right, that's me for these past few days. Thank you guys for putting up with me for all of this time. I much appreciate it, and I'm gonna go get to work and do boring work stuff, but I'll catch you all tomorrow. Goodbye.